we cannot overlook the fact that Ralph Renee has frequently invited NASA to prove him wrong by providing him with the actual spacesuit for his machine. Remember, the pro-NASA documentary entitled The Truth Behind the Moon Landings featured Renee demonstrating his space glove machine. What a coincidence that the producers of the film had access to the very suit used on Apollo.
Back on our moon set, our astronaut is wearing an accurate replica of an Apollo 11 suit.
Given that the producers had access to an identical glove, why did they not take it to Renee's house and ask him to insert it into his machine? It certainly would have satisfied the propagandists. During our first interview, I asked Renee if anyone has ever given him access to the actual space glove.
Did they at all ever mention anything about it being in possession of an actual replica of the astronaut's glove?
No, they didn't.
They did not.
Nobody ever said they had those in there. They're full of shit.
Ah.
They're claiming that now. They're full of shit.
So no one who's ever interviewed has ever said that they have access to a glove that the astronauts used. No one has ever told you that, right?
Look, Jarrah, there's a law of nature you can't get around. You double the thickness of the material, you increase its strength by 4 times. So to make a stronger glove than I've been using, you'd have to double the thickness. Well, you can't work with the damn things as it is. Now, I know they handle all kinds of money to throw around, but they're up against that materials law. And it works for every material. It's the same rule for every material. Double it, it gets 4 times stronger. End of story. So you see, they were up against that brick wall of flexibility in that glove once you inflated it to higher than a punching bag is. Punching bags take 4 psi. They had to work at 5.2 or die. You get the picture, Jack?
Yeah, I get the picture, yeah. I can imagine what would have happened had they actually given you the glove they had access to and you put that in your machine. Like you said...
blown up just like my other ones do if I try to reach 5.2. I could only run mine at 4.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take anymore. It'd blow up. You know, so I couldn't even get where they were.
On August 15th, 2007, during the third EVA of STS-118, astronaut Rick Mastracchino noticed a tear in his space glove. Subsequently, NASA scrubbed short the spacewalk and ordered the astronaut back inside. What's worth noting is that we were later told a sharp object caused the hole in the space glove. NASA would later state that this rupture posed no danger to his suit's integrity, though the decision to pull the EVA was a wise one. When writing about Gene Cernan's Gemini 9 spacewalk, science and mechanics writer Lloyd Malin had this to say on page 153 of his book, Suiting Up for Space.
Understandably, his heart rate was exceptionally high during all phases of this effort, because if the EVA pressure suit fails in any portion, he's dead, and he knew that. Any number of things might have gone wrong. He could have cracked his visor by banging it against a hard surface during his struggles. A leak in one of the gaskets around his wrist could have killed him.
Two shuttle flights earlier, Robert Carbeam's glove was also punctured. It was established that the hole had been cut, not worn. This confirms the ease of damaging a spacesuit during an EVA. So let's see here. A spacesuit with an internal pressure of a mere 4.3 psi can spring a hole, but Apollo astronauts can frolic around and trip about on the moon in a suit at 5.2 psi and never worry about rupturing their spacesuits. And even if these could take such a high pressure, how would that said pressure affect the mobility and flexibility of the gloves? As stated in my first video, the cameras used on Apollo were modified Hasselblad 500ELs, known as the EDC. The man who modified the camera for EVA use was Jan Lundberg. A few years ago, Lundberg had this to say when interviewed by David Percy.
The gloves were built that they couldn't grip anything smaller than about an inch. They had very bad feeling on the fingertips.
So, if fully pressurized, these gloves could not grip anything thinner than an inch. How could astronauts possibly grab onto clearly much thinner objects? Like the corner of the fading flag, or this falcon feather on Apollo 15.
Well, in my left hand I have a feather. In my right hand a hammer. And I guess one of the reasons we got here today was because of a gentleman named Galileo a long time ago who made a rather significant discovery about falling objects in gravity fields. And we thought that where would be a better place to confirm his findings than on the moon.
Zooming in on this image, we can clearly see Scott swishing it around between his thumb and index finger, so we know he has a tight grip on it and is not simply holding the feather by making a funnel with his fingers.
Confirm his findings than on the moon.
Propagandists usually love to use the Galileo experiment to prop up their arguments. That is, before they are reminded that David Scott could never possibly have gotten a grip.
How about that?
Now Andy, did you hear about this one? Tell me, are you locked in the pond? Andy, are you goofing on Elvis too, baby? Are we losing touch? If you believe they put a man on the moon, man on the moon. If you believe there's nothing up his sleeve, then nothing is cool. Moses went walking with the staff of wood. Newton got mean by the apple. Egypt was troubled by the horrible asp. Mr. Charles Darwin had the golden mask. Now, Andy, did you hear about this one? Tell me, are you locked in the pond? Andy, are you goofing on Elvis? Hey, baby, are you having fun? If you believe they put a man on the moon, man on the moon. If you believe there's nothing up his sleeve, then nothing is cool. Here's a little ghost for the offering. Here's a truck stop instead of St. Peter's. Mr. Andy Kaufman's gone wrestling. Now, Andy, did you hear about this one? Tell me, are you locked in the pond?
Yeah, you know, with a hammer, and they both hit the moon at the same time. No, they didn't. Same old bullshit. Fucked up photography.